All right, are we live right now?
Yes, we are live. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. No problem. All right, everyone set? Think so? Okay. At 5:03 PM, I'm going to call the November 1st, 2023 Quality of Life Committee meeting to order. Can I please get a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Counselor Chavez,
Here.
Counselor Lee Garcia.
Oh, he's excused.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Michael Garcia,
Present.
Counselor Villarreal,
Present.
Chair Cassett.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes? And if not, can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? And motion carries. Next to approval of consent agenda. Nothing was taken off, correct? And are there any last minute removals at this time? And if not, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Can I please get a roll call?
Counselor Chavez
Yes.
and Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Villarreal,
Yes.
Chair Cassett.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. All right, we are moving on to our first presentation. Is Johanna here? Is she on Zoom?
Madam Chair, she's not here yet. So
Okay.
if we can move to the second one, I can speak to it because the second person's not here either, but I can give an update on where we are if you want to. I know a little bit about the Creative Industries grant, but she can give it into detail.
Oh,
She's on her way. She had to pick up her kids.
yep, I know that feeling. And we don't have,
Mr. Lease is here in the building, but we can't find him. And I think he's waiting for the first presentation, but I can give you an update on this if you want until we locate him.
on which one? Yeah. So maybe, Terry's here? Okay, so while we're doing that, can I get a motion to amend the agenda to have 5B go before 5A?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Can I please get a roll call?
Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Villarreal,
Yes.
Chair Cassett.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. All right, we have a presentation of real property projects, Office of Economic Development, Asset Development. We have Terry Lease here, and Nina's also here to present. So I will send it over to you guys while you are working on getting the technology up and running. Yeah, I was gonna try to talk until they got it, but I ran out of words.
Well, thank you, first of all, for the invitation to make the presentation here. So we only have a couple of slides. I'm going to spend the first few minutes just kind of talking about asset development, what it is and what we do. So in short, asset development is government real estate. And here with the city, well, first, most government agencies, municipalities have people that do what we do. And here, we're in the Economic Development Department. They're at the county, they're in Public Works Department, in state, they're in the General Service Department, so we can be found all over the place. And I just realized I forgot the introductions, I'm sorry. My name is Terry Lease, I'm the Asset Development Manager with the Office of Economic Development. Next to me is Nina Nguyen. She is the Asset Development Associate, so her and I work closely together. And then, as you know, there's another Asset Development Manager, Lee Logston. And Lee deals with the real estate matters of the Midtown project only. Nina works with Lee also, and Nina and I work on all the other real estate transactions. So asset development's kind of a specialized field. You have to know a lot about real estate. You have to be good with, have to have good communication skills. You have to be able to have good negotiating skills. And when I say negotiating skills, here with the city, we always make sure up front that people know that we are not the decision makers. our role is to put together the framework of whatever it is we're working on, whether it's a real estate transaction or a project we're working on. And then, so you also have to have, we also spend a lot of time drafting different documents of all kinds. We work very close with legal on this, so a lot of these documents go back and forth several times. And we have to do all of this. What's unique about it is we have to do all this within the framework of the New Mexico Constitution, New Mexico statutes annotated, New Mexico Administrative Code, and all the city processes. So that a little more time to get things done. And as I said, a lot of these projects we work on can take weeks, months, sometimes years. I mean, you've seen Las Estrellas over the past several years. So we work on a lot of different projects at the same time, trying to keep them inching forward so we get to a resolution, so we get these things completed. Many of the things we do, we maybe do sales of city property. You may see the Market Station condominium coming back pretty soon. Purchases, we're working on purchasing Richards Avenue from the State Game Commission. Exchanges, we're working on State Land Exchange, has been going on for many years. I worked on the one just last year. It didn't make it through the legislature, but this year we're going to kind of tone it down. We really want to acquire Tract O in Midtown. So we're going to work on an exchange with the state just for Tract O for another piece of city land. Work on leases. It could be buildings, land out in the street. Earlier, Councilor Cassett pulled up and I was measuring the street for Tres Colores. So they've asked to have an outdoor dining facility there, Parklet. This one's a little different because it's the first time we ran across the situation with diagonal parking spaces. We're having to work with traffic. It's close to the crosswalk also. So a lot of these things we do, you enter into it thinking it's going to be pretty straightforward. And then only to find out there's different barriers that you got to kind of work through. We promise we won't take the counselor's parking spot away from them. Anyway, other things we work on, license agreements. We just did a right of entry for a biotech firm to take a look at the Market Station condo. The boneyard, the part that's totally undeveloped. They want to see if it's financially feasible for them to maybe build out as offices and easements. We just did a P&M easement along the roadway in the northwest quadrant. Franchise agreements. We only did one of those with Vexus Fiber. So we've been working with Vexus Fiber, now helping them locate a hub. Other things we do is order appraisals. We have several appraisals coming in. We just got a new appraisal for 6A in Las Estrellas.
Sorry, Terry, I'm going to interrupt you for just one moment. I apologize. I am getting reports that similar to last time, the Zoom is not clear. And I don't know if there's anything we can do to address that. Okay. So we'll just take a minute because they're having a hard time hearing on Zoom. Yes. And Ms. Martin, how are you doing in terms of hearing us?
I can hear you. I have my sound turned up all the way so I can hear you. I can hear Terry.
Okay. And it's coming in clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, I could barely make it out and my sound's up all the way and I've messed with all of the settings, but I could barely hear.
Okay.
Is it me that I'm not close enough?
I don't know. You can, it's the same no matter who's talking.
It is a little, it's not, I can't hear Terry as well as I can hear you, Madam Chair.
Okay, maybe you do need to be a little closer, but it sounds like for Counselor Chavez, it's across the board. Which is interesting that both times Elizabeth's had clear audio.
Yeah,
it
I
com-
can,
What type of computer do you have?
I have an HP.
Yeah, I'm
Dell?
using an HP too, but it's the entire sound system. All of it is very low. So including governing body members, you guys are hard to hear as well.
Weird. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know
we
what to
both-
say, but I can hear all of you, everybody else very well. of course, I can hear Counselor Chavez the best, but Terry is, I can't hear as well, but I can hear him.
We're taking a minute. I think Ben's going back there to mess with the sound. Correct, Ben?
Yes. Yeah, I'm here. Adjusting the levels. Hey, Terry, can you speak into the microphone?
Terry, can you speak in the microphone?
Hello, testing.
That's better.
Yeah, that's better.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ben, and
You're welcome.
thank you. And I apologize. Back to you. 6A.
That's okay, thank you. So I think I just got done with franchises. So we also do appraisals. Like I mentioned, we just got the appraisal for Las Estrellas 6A back. When we get an appraisal back, we review it, make sure it's legible, make sure there's no mistakes, different things. Never talk about value, but we do review all the appraisals before we send it out. And we just got the appraisal back for the airports, which is great. Fair market study, so we can finally start bringing up the rental rates at the airport. And that's something else that just happened. I think it was in fourth quarter of 2022. The airport used to take care of all those own leases. In fourth quarter of 2022, they asked us to take on the airport leases as well. And feasibility studies. We even ordered a couple feasibility studies, one for El Lucero project of about 599. And we have one now that's in the works for affordable housing. We call it the scattered sites. So what that is, we've identified 10 potential properties that might be very good for affordable housing projects. And we're having Wilson & Company do a feasibility study. So they'll look into each of those properties. They'll look into deed restrictions, drainage, topography. They'll look at many, many different factors to tell us which ones of those are the most viable housing projects to bring forward. So you'll probably be seeing that brought forward to the governing body in the first quarter of next year. And the last on my list to talk about before we talk about a slide is we do now have a lease management program, which is a long time coming. It's called Space Base, based out of San Francisco. But this lease in the past, or currently and in the past, all of the city's leases have been tracked on different Excel spreadsheets, et cetera. So this lease management program will allow us to, first of all, input all of those leases in there. And then we need to it's going to take a little bit of time to populate all the fields, and that'll largely fall to Nina here to do that. But this will be a great program that'll really allow us to do a lot of different things. We'll be able to pull reports, be able to have reports of what properties are available, notifications of what leases are will be terminating in the next 6 weeks, or when rent increases are due, and be able to track rents, which most importantly. It'll also communicate with munis, although I think there's a middle piece between the program and munis. So we're really excited about that and excited to get it up and running. So the first slide you see here are just some of the things that projects we've worked on that have been completed. So a lot of these look familiar to you. I'm not going to go down each of them, but I'll just touch on a few of them. The Santa Fe Rail Yard Community Corporation Lease and Management Agreement, Amendment 11. That was really an important amendment because what we're able to do is pull out the depot and the land under the depot, which the city was renting from the SFRCC for $32,000 a year. And we were able to pull that out of their premises. So now that we have sole control of that. Same with the land under Warehouse 21. So we'll be able to now work with Warehouse 21. That the warehouse building and land now is totally in the city control. It's not part of the SFRCC lease. So very important. Las Estrellas, we're working, that, as you know, just came through the governing body a month or two ago for authorizing the sale of 6A. Actually, sale or donation of 6A for affordable housing and sale of the other 7 tracks. So we're currently working on the RFQ for 6A, request for qualifications, and the invitation to bids on the other 7 tracks. So that was good. I'm not gonna go down each one of these, but the Boys and Girls Club, did that one. And signature restated lease at the airport, that was a big one, that was part of the FAA, the FAA matters that we're working through. Alyssa Cropping, and there's a lot of smaller things on here. Wolf and Mermaid Coffee at the airport. So there's a lot of things we've done here. Not all come to the governing body, and this is kind of a partial list. Let's go to the next slide. So here you're going to see some of the things we're working on. Warehouse 21 RFP, that should be first quarter of next year. I just mentioned Las Estrellas, both those. Market Station condominium, I mentioned that might be coming forward as well. And there's others down here, specifically Tres Colores, I was just over there working on. Sky Railway, they want to lease a small area inside the depot, which is just finished, the renovation just finished there. Vexus Fiber, we've been working with them to find a hub space. They've been having a really difficult time, so we're going to be bringing that forward and some different projects. So these are the list of the things we're working on, really the major things we're working on. So with that, turn it over for questions.
Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Any questions, comments from members of the governing body or the Quality of Life Committee? Where are we tonight? Councilman Villarreal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Terry, for the presentation. I know you gave just some snapshots, and I was wondering if you could give us some more details on the more the active projects list. And so you said something before Warehouse 21, because that property was in the rail yard. So you're saying now we have complete control of the land and building for Warehouse 21?
Prior to the Amendment 11 for the Rail Yard Community Corporation, only the land was controlled by the the Rail Yard Community Corporation. The city had sole control of the building only. So the way their premises was defined in their management agreement was just the land. So Amendment 11 removed the land from the SFRCC premises. So they no longer have any oversight over that property.
Just Warehouse 21? You had mentioned one before, but I didn't catch it. Was there another one?
The depot.
Okay,
Yeah, the depot
got it.
land and building was in their premises. The city had a lease to lease back the property. And so that building and land under it was removed also.
got it. Okay. And so that, it says RFP for the sale of Warehouse 21 building and land,
Yes.
is in,
Madam Chair, Councilor Villarreal, it's not for sale. It's going to probably be for lease and management.
okay, because it says sale on this list.
That's a mistake. I'm sorry. Yes.
So Warehouse 21, we're looking to lease.
It's an RFP. Yes.
RFP for lease
Okay,
for the creative
that
economy.
makes me feel better.
That's-
It's like, well, we didn't agree on that. Although that had been a conversation, but I think there's been inquiries, and now that agreement or the Amendment 11 that you described, I think would be helpful for leasing purposes. And then, so Las Estrellas, that looks like that will go through, let's see, there's a bunch of notes that. So 6A, the RFQ will be ready when?
We're hoping for a release mid-November, but we're still working with legal in actually the invitation to bid document.
And that's
That's
an
gotta-
RFQ. But wasn't Wilson and Company gonna do something first on that, a feasibility study?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
It says in the notes, and I do remember that there was gonna be an entity, I guess Wilson and Company was picked to do an affordable housing feasibility study.
So I mentioned earlier a feasibility study for the scattered sites of city land. We did include 6A in that study. We felt that having, and Wilson and Company is going to expedite 6A. We felt that having the results of the feasibility study, hopefully we'll have it before the issuance. But even if it's just after the issuance of the request for qualifications, it'll still be present before and be considered by potential offerers before they have to make their offer. We just felt it's just valuable information. We feel like we receive better offers for 6A, affordable housing.
So that feasibility study for 6A, when is that complete?
It's not complete yet, but we
Okay.
hope to have it within the next 2 weeks, according to Wilson and Company.
Okay. And is that coming to the governing body?
Say again?
Is that going to be presented to the governing body?
It will be presented to the governing body whenever the entire scattered sites is coming. But I don't think we have plans to present the study for just 6A before.
Madam Chair, Councilor Riera, if I could, the feasibility study is not coming to the governing body until we have our RFQ offerers in it. One of the main reasons, a couple of main reasons, but one of the main reasons is that we are trying to complete the transaction on the scattered sites donation so that we can also sell the tracts of land, and one has to happen before the other. And the Economic Development Department relies upon land sales in order to operate. And right now, we don't have any land sales, so we're operating on fumes. So we are trying to expedite the RFQ for the donation of land so that we can do the transaction for the invitation to bid for the larger pieces. So you will see the feasibility report for the 6A piece and when the offers come back. It'll be a part of the package for approval. You'll see how it's feasible and you'll see how it may relate to their response to the land that's being offered back.
But we probably, because it is a public feasibility study and it's to support the sale of these properties, potentially 6A as well. Not sale, but to do
The
whatever the
donation.
RFQ, yeah, the donation. So that should be something that we can see.
Yes, you can. Once the feasibility report is done, we can share it. We can share it to the Quality of Life, Economic Development Advisory Committee, et cetera. It's just that we want to make sure that we're following our timeline because we have to make the sales happen before the end of the fiscal year so that we can replenish the missing funds from land sales into economic development. If that makes sense. And
Yeah.
it's not 6A that's funding it. It's the Las Estrellas tract.
Right, yeah, I guess I see the kind of parallel and
Yeah.
what I would request is that feasibility study, even if it's just the 6A portion,
Mhm.
that we can review it in the CDC,
Oh, yes.
our
yes,
next
yes.
meeting.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
or maybe in December, ooh, I don't know.
December,
May
yes,
not
it'll be
have it
done.
this
It'll be done in December. So it'll be done by December, so we can put it on the agenda.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And then Market Station condo. So we're back again with this potential, when we say condo, are we talking about boneyards
Boneyard and the
And-
the office space, yeah,
and the office space?
yeah, that's the whole condo and the open space in between.
So I thought Specifica was in there, that was the lease,
But
right?
we're still working on the specific lease
Really?
because of the other condo owners have issues with our terms on our lease. So we're still in negotiation with them. But at the same time, we can still sell the parcel. If we can still sell the parcel so that we are not in a constant tete-a-tete with our other condo owners. We have one portion of the condo, there's 4 units in the condo, but we have no control over the management of the condo building. None at all. But we are a condo owner of the building.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah, it's a problem.
That's the problem.
Okay, so that's still kind of in the works.
Yeah.
As well as Specifica. And then, so this is on here, which I thought was a little odd. The parking structure at Market Station, it says sale.
Yes, it's contemplated for sale. It's not currently for sale. It has to come through here first,
Mhm.
but we've received offers for purchasing the parking structure,
So that's still,
still to come through this process.
okay. Yeah, I won't be around to consider that, but
Okay.
I'm not in favor of it. I think that there's, yeah, I mean, I think having parking that we control is really important, so we'll see where that goes. I think the other one I had a question on was about, it says Mercury Bio.
As I mentioned earlier, we do license agreements and we did a right of entry, which is a form of a license for that Mercury Bio to look at the boneyard, fully undeveloped, to see if it's financially feasible for them to build it out for office and laboratory space, similar to what the specific space would be.
Oh, is that a bioscience company?
Mhm.
too?
Exactly.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Council Burial, they're actually in our incubator. And so we've been trying to pull companies out of the incubator nest so that they stay in Santa Fe as they grow. So this is the reason why we're offering up this potential space at Boneyard for them for their expansion.
Got
But they've been an incubator client for a couple years, and it's one of our success stories at the incubator.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And I think the other question I had was, it talks about the project, it says police residence leases. Would
Council, yes. So currently, there are 2 police residences on city properties. In the past, there's been as many as, I think, 8 in the past. Now there's only 2. The police department has expressed an interest in wanting to expand that program. So what we're doing now is working on new leases for the 2 existing residences. And, there's been interest on others, but at this point, nothing more solid than that. We just first need to get these 2 leases. They've been transferred into different police officers' names, so we need to get those 2 leases in place.
So can you say more about where those are located?
One is on the impound lot on Camino Entrada, and the second is on Ashball Park. And there was actually 2 on Ashball Park, and that residence was finally removed.
Right, okay, so that, we're still considering somebody to live on that property.
There's an existing officer.
park,
Yeah,
so-
there's an existing officer on the property that just retired. So that's one of the 2. We have to enter into a new lease with a new officer that will be on Ashball Park. They're not going to add a second one there.
Okay. And then the other is, let's see, it says a dog park.
That was a project that was brought up last year where the easement across an existing piece of property. I forget the gentleman's owner's name.
right.
He recently
Yes.
transferred that to
Garcia,
Habitat
Mr.
for
Garcia.
Humanity.
Okay.
And we'll be working with Habitat for an easement across to the dog park property. First, Habitat wanted to do some more work on how they're gonna lay out that property.
Got it. So, yeah, the way it was written, I was trying to figure out if it was the dog park access point as it relates to so Habitat for Humanity is going to be building affordable units, and you're trying to make sure that there's an easement to still access the dog
Exactly
park
right.
from that.
So they're absolutely wanting to work with the city on that easement. It's just a little too early at this point.
Got it. Okay. Thank you very much. I think that's it.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman. Any other questions, comments from members of the committee? I just have one quick question. You had mentioned that this is a partial list of leases and of active leases. Is there anywhere that either we or the public can go to see the full list? Is it posted anywhere?
I believe the city, we have Excel spreadsheets, as I say. I think we have about 80 leases, another 20 with the airport. And so that's what this program's going to do.
Okay.
You'll be able to request, you have a see,
So it'll have everything on there. Oh,
they'll be able to pull up reports like that.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Appreciate that. All right, so I think we are good. Thank you both so much for being here. Really appreciate you giving us the update. Now moving back to 5A, we're going to the Creative Industries Grant Update. Office of Economic Development awarded $100,000 from the New Mexico Economic Development Department to support and develop the creative industries through June 30th, 2024. We have Johanna Nelson, the Director of the Office of Economic Development, here to present. Thank you. Oh, I think your mic's.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Great to see you. I'm pulling up a presentation that should be in the packet too that you can reference. Let me know if you want me to start prior to. I'll just pull it up here, Loretta. And I apologize, there's animation on this. I couldn't take it off. But I'll go ahead and get started and give you some background on this grant and some of the story behind it. So the Creative Industries Division and support for that industry is somewhat of a recent thing. And in the last legislative session through HB 8, and through the work of Representative Skapansky, the legislature was able to secure about $2 million to support the industry, which is really exciting. And all of that funding is going through the State Economic Development Department. Out of that 2 million, EDD, Economic Development Department, is allotting 1.8 million to go out to grants to local governments to support projects in the creative industries field. And so we submitted an application and we were successful in winning that grant. The 200,000 out of that 2 million, just for some context, that is going to support a study on the impact of the creative industries field on economies in New Mexico. So it'll be really exciting to see the results from that. And something of note, a local firm, Creative Startups, was actually the successful bidder on that RFP. So that's exciting that one of our local organizations will be working on that directly, and we work really closely with them. The grants that were awarded throughout the state were $100,000. And they did parse that out to have representation on the for rural and tribal entities as well as urban. So Santa Fe is considered urban. This funding does terminate in June 30th. So there is a timeline that's involved with this, and we're hoping to use it as a pilot and to kickstart activity in this realm. So even though the funding has to be spent by June 30th, hopeful that the work and the development will be put into place past June 30th. So I'm going to go through, hopefully you had a chance to look at these a little bit, but in our proposal, I want to make sure that we're going over the deliverables so you can see what we propose to the state, and we're successful in sharing with them our approach. But overall, if you think about our role and how we are supporting creative industries, and I actually want to step back and define creative industries, because I recognize that the state legislature has a definition for creative industries. A lot of people might ask what that is. It is supporting arts and culture, which is a broad swath. I actually had it pulled up on my screen. I don't know if I can see if I can share that. And you can go to EDD's page, and you can see, hopefully folks can see that okay. But it is a broad swath of fields that are related to arts and culture. But I think the main takeaway to remember is that it does not include film and media, because there is such a substantive amount of funding that does go to support that field. Let's pull up this again. But thinking about how our office is supporting this industry, and we came up with this proposal based on the challenges that exist in economic development, whether it's creative industries or any of the other industries that we are focused on growing. Those challenges are usually around coordination, making sure our stakeholders and our organizations are working together. 2 is communication, making sure that those orgs are not working in silos. 3 would be awareness of resources. So that means, are the practitioners, are the businesses in those fields aware of the grants and the funding and the technical assistance that's out there? So increase access to resources. And the 4th is making sure that we are identifying the key projects that are in our community that are requesting assistance, that they need additional funding for resources. So those are the challenges that we know that exist in the industry, and that's how we came up with this proposal. And the other thing to think about is that creative industries is one industry that our office is focused on developing and growing. So this is a real opportunity for us to use this as a pilot to support the creative industries. And if it's successful and works well, we can apply that to some of our other industries like bioscience, like hospitality, outdoor recreation. So going through the deliverables. So the first one is we want to develop a community navigator model. And so we would be soliciting an organization that could act as the navigator that is helping to convene the stakeholders within the creative industries. They're acting as a hub. They're giving us capacity. We have a small team. We need an organization that knows the field and knows the stakeholders and can work with us to convene the partners. Number 2 would be map the assets in the infrastructure. So when we talk about assets in the creative industries, this is varied, but these are entrepreneurial support. So this could be having access to maker spaces and studios. This is having access to affordable commercial space. This is access to technical assistance. These are the things that we need to map and make sure are available and our folks are aware of them. Another one would be Santa Fe Community College, being aware of the training and the workforce that's in existence there. So number 3 is convening, helping to support and to facilitate that coordination with our stakeholders. So our Creative Industries Navigator Hub would be convening on a regular basis our stakeholders that are involved in this industry. At those convenings, that's where you are increasing the coordination, you're increasing the communication. So there's the ability to work together and increase awareness of resources. Number 5 would be the actual scheduling of that. As you know, that takes effort to convene, to send out the invites, to find a space, to send out the calendars. So that would be taken care of to convene and make that a regular occurrence. And then also provide the framework in those meetings to promote awareness of the resources and actually open it up for communication for those organizations. Number 6 is the pipeline that I mentioned. So when we are convening, that allows us to discuss and identify the key projects that are happening in this field that we would be able at a state or at a local level to show, here's the Santa Fe Creative Industries ecosystem, and here are the top 10 projects that we know that would be critical to complete and have impact, and here they are, and we can help prioritize where resources and funding are going, whether it's local requests, philanthropic, state, federal, et cetera. And number 7, the Creative Industries Navigator Hub would be responsible for compiling all of the data, all of the feedback resultant of this effort. So they would be the ones helping us to lead and comply with our metrics that we have with the state. And have all that accessible and ready to go. June 30th hits, and prior to that, so we can plan for the next fiscal year and how to implement this work. So the budget out of that 100,000, see if I can blow this up a little bit, breaks down where the Creative Industries Navigator Hub would be receiving $59,000 to help with the organization and the management and the deployment of the project, as well because increasing awareness of resources is such a critical component of this and getting information out. $20,000 was allotted for marketing and promotion, not only for the Navigator Hub, but also out into the community. As well, we put $20,000 for event services and cost, and contingency 1,000, and that hits the 100,000 mark. And for collaboration, this project would be managed from our office, including the economic development ecosystem, which when we do our quarterly convenings, we get about easily 70 to 80 organizations coming and working together and communicating. And then Arts and Culture Division, along with the Arts and Commission, getting feedback from those key groups to help manage and to help coordinate the effort. So that concludes the overview. Hopefully that helps shed some backstory and some next steps in how we plan on really supporting and growing this industry that's so important to Santa Fe.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and really looking forward to seeing what comes out of this, and hopefully we'll get some updates as that moves along. Exactly. Wonderful. Moving on to the committee. Any questions, comments? Councilwoman Figueroa?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much for the presentation and congrats on getting the grant. I was surprised that the actual bill only awarded 2 million. It's very small for what really needs to happen in New Mexico, and that's throughout the state, correct?
Correct.
How many grants did they give out?
It's about 15, and I'll get the exact number.
Were we a higher amount based on population
It
or?
was $100,000 across the board.
Okay, so there was 15, you
Might-
said?
Yeah. And 200 exactly for the study, but I'll get you the exact amount.
200, was it? Say that
200
again?
was for the study out of the 2 million. 1.8 went out in grants. Counselor.
Cool. I guess I was curious about the hub, and if you all had some criteria in mind for the entity that you want to lead it, the Navigator Hub. And if you could say more about that, like what you think would be ideal for that position. It's not really a position, it's an organization, right? Could that be nonprofit and private sector as well?
Madam Chair, Counselor, members of the committee, you're exactly right, Counselor, that this would ideally be a nonprofit. It would be a community organization that already has trust in the ecosystem. They know the players, they know the resources, and they also have project management skills, and they're able to convene our stakeholders and manage those events as well. And I will throw out there that this is based on the Small Business Administration, SBA, the Federal Small Business Bureau. Their program called Community Navigators that started about 2 years ago as a pilot, and understanding that government often has a difficult time or a challenging time to get information out about resources, coordination, all those things that I just mentioned. And Director Guzman at the national level launched Community Navigators as a pilot. New Mexico, I think, had the Black Chamber in Albuquerque was the only successful applicant in that national program, just as an FYI. But there's a model to look at on the national level to implement this. So we didn't come up with the idea. And I think that speaks to the potential strength that we have, that we can rely on some folks at SBA and the Black Chamber as well to get feedback on what works and where we can improve on.
Great. Yeah, I was just thinking about, yeah, it would have to be somebody that obviously knows the lay of the land in the area and the, cultural mix. And then I guess I'm just thinking also about how this is a criteria, if there would be something around, bilingual accessibility. If you could talk more about that.
Or Madam Chair, Counselor, and members of the committee, you're exactly right. And actually the premise of not only creating the national program was acknowledging not only does government typically have those challenges getting information out, but times that by whatever percentage, 30, 40, 50% to marginalized populations, socially and economically disadvantaged groups, the challenge to get information to those demographics increases. And the whole purpose of this is that you don't have local government going into a community where we don't have trust, we don't speak the language, et cetera. And we are working with the community group that does have the trust, that's on the ground, that speaks the language. And we're able to communicate at this level, at those convenings, and then that information is dispersing through those trusted groups into the community. But you're exactly right. The hub should have criteria that is meeting the majority demographics at the city level.
Great. Do you envision it like multiple partners? Or are you thinking maybe one would be the Navigator Hub? And yeah, maybe you could say more.
Madam
about that.
Chair, Counselor, and members of the committee, I'm glad you asked that question, because next legislative session, hopefully the state can identify more funding. If we had more funding, we could set it up where the SBA did, where the community hub is getting paid for their management services, but each one of those community spokes and those organizations are getting funding as well. So right now that 60,000 is mainly going to the program management, but if we had more money, we could have more spokes and partners that are doing that work.
Yeah, I think, and this is a pilot, right?
This is a pilot. Yep.
Well, this is exciting. I'm hopeful that we get the right partner in place and they can serve as a conduit to information and resources. And yeah, I'm excited to see how that will play out. And hopefully we'll be able to get more funding to support this effort and community efforts.
Madam Chair, can I add a little bit? I just want to add something. I want to say first that Director Nelson is a karma queen on grants. So she knows how to find them and she knows how to win them. So I just want to congratulations. But I also wanted to add to Councilor Villarreal's note that as we think about the 1614 Paseo Warehouse 21 building. It's going to be focused on the creative industry. So this grant is a great gateway to that concept of a hub at one place in the city, as we look at this property that we want to do. Because there will be someone who leases and manages that spot, but this is a place where we can bring all that together for our creative industries. So I just want to add that on there.
That's great. I think that, well, for youth, that was kind of what Warehouse 21 served in that way, the hub for creativity. I think the only thing that we need to consider is the parking issue. It's so challenging to use that space when people can't go to it regularly. And we controlled the parking, so in a way, in some areas, so in a way, we can make that accessible if we decide that that is the potential for a hub. At least I hope that that's the case, because that was a deterrent for Warehouse 21. Students and kids and youth couldn't go there because they couldn't park. Well, and it was also, you know, not necessarily close to where most of our youth live anyway, so, but yeah, I like that idea. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Councilwoman. Anything else from any other members of the committee? Nope. All right, thank you so much, Director Nelson. Really appreciate you finding this and going after it, and really looking forward to the work.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. All right, moving on down to matters from staff. So Director Brown, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Director Ochoa couldn't make it tonight, so I will just speak to the Community Development Committee. First, I want to say I'm super excited to announce that we have hired and brought on our new Metropolitan Redevelopment Agency Director, Ms. Karen Iverson, who's sitting in the back. She is local born. She was born and raised in Albuquerque and has had many years' experience with metropolitan redevelopment areas, mostly in Albuquerque. Has lived around a lot of cities and has some fantastic experiences, but came back as a boomerang, and now she's here. And we've had a day and a half worth of meetings, and it's been exciting. It's been really exciting. So I don't know if she's allowed to come in and introduce herself, but she's here tonight. Just, you know, yeah, she's staff. So.
You, Madam Chair, committee members. My name is Karen Iverson. I graduated from St. Pius and the University of New Mexico. I think of my career as sort of being at the confluence of real estate development and equity and community planning. And for the past 5 years, I have led the Metropolitan Redevelopment Agency for the city of Albuquerque. While I was there, we tripled the development pipeline to 160 million. I also led the community process for and got $40 million for the rail trail, which will be a multimodal path through downtown Albuquerque, as well as led a statewide campaign to develop a funding mechanism to fund redevelopment statewide. I'm super excited to be here and join Director Brown and work with all of you. A tremendous amount of effort has gone into developing a really exciting vision for Midtown. And I'm really excited to join where I can to lead that project. I have a master's in real estate development and urban planning from Portland State University, where I worked for their redevelopment agency. And yeah, I'm available to answer any questions now or in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here and really looking forward to working with you. So thank you. Back to you, Director Brown.
Madam Chair, thank you. I think the only thing else I had on my list was next week we will be here with our Midtown team to do our progress report. So it'll be at the governing body on November 8th. So that's the only thing else that I had on my list. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Loretta, any matters from you today?
No matters, Madam Chair.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any matters from members of the committee? Nope. And I have no matters either. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, November 15th, and at 5:57 we are adjourned. Thank you.